In just a wonderful twist of irony, the British government's attempt to try and scrub a new piece of Banksy art off a building has backfired, creating a more powerful piece of art in the process. This, while they are potentially, for the first time, legally going after Banksy. And the reason for that, I think, is clear. So, in this video, I'm going to break down what happened here, including the incredible ironic reaction from the British government, as well as how this connects to the Palestinian fight for freedom, which Banksy has been an active voice in through their art. So, first, let me show you the piece and explain what's going on here. This is a judge in the traditional wig and black gown beating an unarmed protester with a gavel. This was captioned on Banksy's Instagram with Royal Courts of Justice, London, which is where this piece of graffiti is placed. And as CBC News writes here, while the artwork doesn't explicitly refer to a particular cause or incident, activists saw it as a reference to the UK government's ban on the group Palestine Action. On Saturday, almost 900 people were arrested at a London protest challenging the ban. So before I get further into the reaction from the UK government to this piece of art, as well as some other Banksy art referring to Palestinian freedom, it's worth noting how insane this ban on Palestine Action is. So there's a great piece here from The Guardian from Haroon Sadiq. I'll link to it below the video under sources on YouTube. But as they write here, a ban on Palestine Action, which uses direct action to mainly target Israeli weapons factories in the UK and their supply chain, was voted through by Parliament. Despite attempts to try and block the ban, it's still gone through. It means Palestine Action will become the first direct action protest group to be banned under the Terrorism Act, placing it in the same category as Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, and the far-right group National Action. Quote, the main target has been stopping Elbit Systems, which markets itself as the backbone of the IDF. As my client says, the aim of terrorism is to take lives and hurt people. That's the opposite of what we do. So while the IDF, the Israeli government, are not listed as terrorists, despite the fact that they are currently committing a genocide, an internationally recognized genocide, even by human rights organizations within Israel calling it a genocide, this group, Palestine Action, are being targeted and called terrorists, even though their goal is to stop the killing of innocent lives. So as I go over this story here about Banksy and the reaction from the UK government, I think it's important to keep in mind the genesis of all of this and how absolutely insane it is for the government to try and claim that Palestine Action is a terrorist organization. Now, I want to show you just a bit of the history with Banksy in his standing up for the rights of Palestinians. So there's a great article here from Banksy explained, a link to below the video, as well as from imeu.org. I'm going to quote just a couple paragraphs from each of them as I show you some of the art that Banksy has put up in the West Bank and in Gaza. So in August 2005, Banksy visited Palestine, where he painted with his team 7 large murals on the West Bank wall, also referred to as the segregation wall. The security barrier separating the occupied territories from Israel is over 450 miles long and 38 feet high. It was deemed illegal by the International Court of Justice, but construction by the Israeli government continued. Human rights organizations and others have accused Israel of designing the winding route of the wall, which has been dubbed the, quote, apartheid wall, to put as much Palestinian land and as many Israeli settlements as possible on the western or Israeli side, while placing as many Palestinians as possible on the eastern side, effectively annexing large swaths of Palestinian land. And one of the more incredible stories to come out of that is the fact that Israel apparently mistook Banksy art for Palestinian land, as they stole it. There is now a piece of Banksy art, this is the slingshot rat, sitting in a Tel Aviv gallery. As The Guardian writes here, it has sparked a debate over the legality of taking cultural artifacts from occupied land. Can't say this is surprising in the least. Now, let's get back to the piece of art in London. So this was spray painted on a building that is 143 years old. And it's, as you're going to see, it was removed, sort of. Quote, the Royal Courts of Justice is a listed building and HMCTS are obliged to maintain its original character. It said in a statement, listed buildings are considered the country's most significant historic buildings and sites and are protected by law. So there were people here as it was covered up before it was taken down or removed. Trying to peek behind the wall here, checking it out. And great quote here, where the piece quoting Banksy saying, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, as they are trying to remove the piece of art, scrubbing it off the wall. But I don't know. There's some incredible irony here, as Barry Malone, journalist, writes here. When you try to remove a piece of art and accidentally make it better. This is a piece of art discussing or trying to showcase, highlight government censorship. And in the process, they put on full display a piece of government censorship. It's absolutely incredible. You have to wonder if this was done on purpose, knowing they were going to remove it and knowing the kind of wall it was, the building, the brick, whatever it is, knowing that it would end up looking this way. Because I don't know if this really counts as removing it. And I'm going to guess they're not going to paint over it because the building isn't painted. So it would just look odd to paint in one spot. And that in itself may be considered vandalism. So this just may be how it's left. And another image here. I wish I could credit whoever took this. It may have been this individual, but just beautiful the way this has come out. Now, Banksy apparently could be unmasked as police probe criminal damage over this piece of art. You have to wonder, what is it exactly about this piece of art? I know it's on a government building, but we're going to get to another example of a piece of Banksy art on a government building that apparently wasn't a big deal. But something interesting about this. So, as Tiberius shares here on Twitter, Banksy graffitis hundreds of political slogans all over the world for 25 years. Police, silence. Banksy criticizes crackdown on anti-genocide activists. Police, launch investigation. Can you see how terrified they are of Palestinian liberation? There really does appear to be, that really does appear to be the issue. Because what else is it about this piece of art? Because in the past, somebody brought up in someone else's thread here, are you high? Free speech doesn't give anyone the right to vandalize public buildings. Well, the city of London preserved this police box that Banksy sprayed. So, spray painting something that is of police property usually doesn't lead to a good outcome. If anything, that is the most risky of places to place your art, is anything involving the police. But here it was preserved. Yet, when it comes to criticizing actions taken against peaceful protesters standing up for Palestinians, all of a sudden it becomes a big issue. Very bizarre stuff. So let me know your thoughts below in the comments on this entire story. And I don't know, where do you see this going?